Hello there, this is Retro Spirits Gaiden, and this is 16-bit 3D games I own, ranked. So this is forward-scrolling type games, like your Space Harriers, like your Super Thunderblades, like your racing games, like your Outruns. They're in 3D, well they're trying to be 3D. We do have some actual polygon games on here. The reason I've bunched them all together is because I don't have enough of any one genre to make a list for, say, racing games. So here they are, bundled together. And as is customary, we're going to do this in the style of a dance announcer. 20. We have Chase HQ by Taito, or Taito Chase HQ as it's known on the PC Engine. The arcade game is a fun knockabout racing stroke destruction game. The PC Engine has aped it in the graphical department quite successfully. Orally, it is destroying your ear holes, and gameplay wise it's destroying your soul, as the collision detection is frickin' awful. In 19 we have Galaxy Force 2 on the Mega Drive. Now the arcade game is simple, the Mega Drive game is simple. Both gameplay-wise and visually, the arcade game is incredibly complex visually, and this is where the Mega Drive game fails. You have some nice tunes, it controls okay, it just is a pale imitation of a graphics-intensive arcade machine, and it really shouldn't have been attempted on the Mega Drive. So there you go, let's penetrate that enemy fortress. In 18, Super Thunderblade. You know what I just said about Galaxy Force 2 there? It can apply to Thunderblade as well. They put Super in the title just for the shits and giggles. This is not a Super version of Thunderblade. This is a dilapidated, clapped out version of Thunderblade. I bought this on the Mega Drive, and I've since played the arcade machine, and in no way does this ape the arcade machine. Is it a fun game in itself? Not really. It's got nasty music and pretty crappy graphics and awful gameplay. In 17, G-Lock Air Battle. Now this is not a bad conversion of a 32-bit powerhouse arcade machine. Mega Drive retains some of the graphical flair, but I say some, like 3% of the graphical flair of the arcade machine. It does play like G-Lock, which is like a slow-ass boring afterburner. The music's horrible, the gameplay's boring, and graphics are okay for what they are. In 16 is Wild Tracks for the Super Nintendo. This is so low down in the list because it's just jerky and uninteresting to play. So that doesn't help, does it? We're using polygons in this one, as you can see. Polygons with sprites mixed in for eyeballs and wheels. It's just not that engaging a game. Like I said, the frame rate is so low, and the window that you play the game in is so small. It just feels a bit cruddy. In 15 is Lotus Turbo Challenge. This is okay. It's fine. It's a rock hard, forward-scrolling, I don't really want to say driving game, it's kind of like a car pinball game where you bounce your car around an environment comically. It's slightly ugly, it's got rubbish sound, gameplay is middling, so that's why it's this far down the list. That's Lotus on the Mega Drive. In 14 is Space Fantasy Zone. This, in principle, should be a cracking game. It's just not that engaging. Audio visually, it's slightly middling. The audio is better than the visuals, it's being CD audio. Visuals, as you can see, are quite jerky, a bit janky. Gameplay's a bit boring. It's not as good as Space Harrier, there's just not as much going on. But you get a shop, so swings and roundabouts. It's alright, it's just not brilliant. In 13, Panorama. Another forward-scrolling sprite-based shooting game. This one visually is fairly nice. Audio-wise, is pretty good. Gameplay-wise, it's just a little bit dull. And the levels go on for slightly too long, but other than that, it's an okay game. It's an expensive game to buy on the Mega Drive. It's not worth the money if you buy an original Kart. I wouldn't have thought. You're not going to get £300 worth of gameplay out of it, but it's okay. And 12 is Super Hang-On. Now this is probably the first racing game I ever played on the Mega Drive, and it does a decent job of replicating the Super Hang-On arcade machine. Visually, it's slightly lacking. Audio-wise, it's not great, but it actually plays quite nicely. So that's why it's mid-table. I quite like the bike sprite, the dude on it, but it's just a shame that he's recoloured for all the other sprites. The update's a bit jerky, as you can see. I just hit a bush there. It's unfortunate for me. In 11 is Afterburner 2. This is on the Mega Drive. This is a decent-ish conversion of Afterburner 2. It retains the speed. It reduces the graphical quality by quite a bit. It has the same gameplay. And the audio is decent. I play it more than Super Hang-On, so it appears above Super Hang-On in the list. Yeah, it's okay. The PC Engine version might be better. I don't own it, so it's not on this list. In 10 is Virtua Racing. So, in the same vein as Wild Tracks, this is a small window, 3D polygons. It's more playable than Wild Tracks, it has a better frame rate, and the game itself is more exciting. That's why it's much further up the list. But, having said it has a better frame rate than Wild Tracks, it is borderline unplayable these days. The resolution and the frame rate makes it difficult to judge corners. That's why it's mid-table. In 9 is Road Blasters. Now, this is so far up the list because this is an epic conversion of an arcade machine. It's nigh on identical, really. The gameplay is fine, the graphics are fine, the sound is fine. I'm just impressed by how accurately they managed to replicate it. It's just an achievement, and I like to reward achievement by placing Road Blasters 9th on my list. It's pretty good. It's alright, it's just a basic game, it's not really a racing game. In 8 is Space Harrier on the PC Engine. Now this is a decent conversion of a classic Sega coin-op. Now the music isn't much to write home about. The visuals are pretty decent. We have all the sound effects here for the different enemy attack waves, which is nice, all the audio stings. And it plays like Space Harrier, so yeah, it's pretty decent. It's got lots of colour. The update on the visuals isn't that smooth, but it's a PC Engine. In 7, we have Space Harrier 2. You know I said the update on the PC Engine version of Space Harrier wasn't that good. Well, Space Harrier 2 takes that to a new level. It's a bit of a jerkathon. Visually, the music is weak. But I've played this much more than the games that precede it on the list, therefore it comes in at this level. It's probably not worthy of this higher place on a list of 3D into the screen games, but it's preferences, isn't it?
Get ready.
In 6, Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. Another 3D polygonal game here using Super FX chips. This is just a classic shooter. The frame rate is pretty low, that's why it comes this far down, but I do really like the shoot 'em up action, which is a bit like, to me it feels a bit like R-Type in 3D, just the way the game is structured. And we've got some stuff that looks like Starblade, and Starblade was cool as well, so yeah, I like Star Fox. In 5 is Outrun on the PC Engine. Now, the top 10 of this list is pretty much interchangeable, and this PC Engine version of Outrun and the Mega Drive one are also interchangeable. They have their strengths and weaknesses. The PC Engine version here has an accurate car sprite. Quite cool music for PC Engine. The update isn't brilliant, it's a weird visual for splitting the road, but It's a decent version of Outrun on a 8-bit console, which had no right to really produce a nice version of Outrun. In 4, we have Outrun on the Mega Drive. Now this is Sega's own conversion of their own Outrun coin-op. Actually, it might not be Sega, it might be Sims or Denver or something. But anyway, this has more of the visuals of the arcade machine, in terms of more sprites from the arcade machine. The audio is not as nice as the arcade machine, it's not as fruity as the PC Engine version visually, colour-wise, but it's Outrun. Take your pick. In 3 is F-Zero. This is on the Super Nintendo. Now, why is this one so far up the list? Wow! Super smooth 60 frames per second gameplay, exciting tracks, super fast, slidey action. Yeah, this game is a lot of fun, and I played this a hell of a lot back in the day. And even today, it's graphically nice looking. Audio is actually better than I would give it credit for back in the day. It's just a really polished, fun game. In 2 is Pilot Wings on the Super Nintendo. This is a unique category all of its own. It would come number 1 in its own category. It's like a sort of a weird flight simmy sort of game, but it's just really cool. It's non-violent, comedy, piloting action, and you can't ask for more than that. Bit of a graphical demo maybe. The music's a bit sort of porno-y, but it's a cool game. In 1 is Super Mario Kart. What else could it be but the 16-bit powerhouse that is Super Mario Kart? Any game featuring a monkey in a muscle top driving a kart against other biological monstrosities in surreal worlds is going to come number 1 on this man's list right here. This is rampantly playable, beautifully designed courses, lovely stuff. It's just the gameplay. It's not visually not brilliant, it's good, but it's not all that. Audio wise, it is cool, but gameplay's where it's at with Super Mario Kart. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. Okay, well that's my top 20 3D into the screen games on the 16-bit platforms, and there was no computer games in there. I only own consoles, I don't own an Amiga, so I'm sure there are Amiga 3D games that are better than those on the list, especially at the lower end, like Chase HQ. I don't know that for a fact, I don't remember. But, yeah, if you disagree with the list, then leave me a comment below. If there's something I've missed that you think I should play, also leave me a comment below. And you go ahead and have a nice rest of your day. Alright then, ta-ra.